Welcome back, Shalligators. Today we're going to talk about Kylie Jenner showing off a body. I mean, she looks super different than she used to. And my theories are, Ozempic, you know. It's Ozempic. Like, nobody has that body after 2 kids. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell you my theories on Kylie and why, given her past behavior, I feel very smug in offering this assessment of what she's had done now, because she is the Demi Lovato of physical appearance. You know how Demi Lovato will do a documentary? She'll be like, hi, is this thing on? You know that documentary I did 2 years ago where I said I was sober? I was lying. This documentary, I am sober. 2 years later, now I was also lying in that one. But this one, I'm telling the truth. What? Kylie is like that, but with her physical appearance. I'm going to tell you what I think is going on. And as you guys know, I was on Ozempic for a really long time. I'll tell you, not a really long time, but I was on it. I lost 50 pounds. I'll tell you how I'm doing on that. Some tips and tricks if you're on it. Some products that I found that have been really, really helpful. But before we get started, yes, my hair is wet. I didn't do it. And my blush is chunking right there. That's not what I want to say. What I wanted to say is, if you really want to come out of this summer a different person, come to Montana with me. Come see me in Montana, because I'm hosting a retreat with my mindset coach, who I talk about all the time, Laura St. John. We're teaming up for a retreat in Montana, in my house. So if you've never been to Montana, if you've never met me, if you just feel kind of stuck in your life, you're held back by low self-esteem, bitterness from the past, or you know what you want, but you don't know how to shift your mindset into getting there. It's I know I want true love, but I've never had true love, so I don't even know how to envision this. Laura does, and she can teach you because she's taught it to me. So come on out. We are doing a retreat July 17th through 20th. And listen, if you can't make the retreat or it's a little out of your price range, that's totally cool. Sign up for Laura's 6-week group coaching program. It is these lessons, but honestly, the retreat's a lot deeper. It's hyperlapse. It's just to the face, all of the good stuff. And speaking of travel, come with me to Italy. We're in the last week of booking my last Italy trip. It's going to sell out. If you need some friends, if you need some adventure, listen, stop waiting to live your life. Every time summer hits, we think oh my God, summer's going to be incredible. And then it's it's actually just like the winter, only I have under boob sweat. You know, it's not incredible. I have to make my own adventures. I don't know how to do that. I might not have anyone to do them with. I want to live this big, grand, exciting life, and I just don't know how. Guess what? I do. All you have to do is show up to Italy. Pack a bag. I'll even fucking tell you what to pack. Okay, I will make you your Pinterest board, tell you what to pack. Just show up and have the best time of your life. It's the best part of solo travel, where you can just have this experience and be free and unencumbered. But you're in a group, so you don't have to think about anything. It's going to be amazing. I have the best time, and I always make best friends. 4 girls who I befriended on my last Italy trip are coming to visit me for 4th of July. Besties. Anyway, Ozempic. Let's look at Kylie. I mean, listen, I think she looks really good. I think a lot of people would say she's too skinny. I'm one of those girls where thin is in. That I'm just a product of my generation, the Victoria's Secret model generation, where you were striving to look exactly like this, a rail with tits. Her tits are fake. We're going to talk about everything about her that's fake in a minute. So she's at a fashion week. What is she, in Paris? Is it Paris Fashion Week? She's at the Schiaparelli show. She's in a corset. And yeah, the corset's going to pull you tight, but I mean, her collarbone, her arms are teeny, 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 tiny. I would guess she is on Ozempic, okay? Because I think that whole family is. They've just shrunk. They were never fat. Not even Chloe was ever fat. But they've shrunk. Courtney hasn't, because she's Miss Holistic. Shut the fuck, girl. And yet she's queen of matcha and tofu and no gluten. But didn't she do IVF? I'm sorry. These concepts, it's hard for them to connect for me. And listen, I am going to be contradicting myself in this video, for sure. I am not a fan of Big Pharma. I try to be as holistic as possible, and yet I'm Ozempic. I get it, okay? I'm a body autonomy absolutist. Do whatever the fuck you want with your body. But it does merit pointing out, and people can point it out with me. That's totally fine. I get it. My mom was so let me get this straight. You won't take the COVID vaccine, but you'll take Ozempic and get fillers. I was correct? I chose something. I made a choice and I chose it. And I chose different than what other people would choose. And that's how life gets to work. It's wild. I'm sorry, I have to put my hair back. It's driving me crazy. And it's not going to be slick and tight. I'm going to look like an Amish person. And I do. And I do. I wish I was like Hailey Baldwin, where I had cultivated like the slick. Now I look like an Italian grandmother at a Catholic church. Okay. Leaving a flower for her son who died in the First World War. That's how I look. I found a hair tie. We're going to try. We're going to fuck around with this as we talk about Kylie. So yeah, I think Kylie has lost this. She has just slimmed down a lot. Like, she had a lot of baby weight after her second baby, and like, no shade to that. Like, that's a crazy thing to put your body through. And this snapback culture that we live in, where everyone's got to be like rocking a bikini with a six pack 4 hours after they give birth, is ridiculous. So of course she had weight. And I think that this happens, I've noticed, at least just watching celebrities, this happens a lot with the second baby. And I feel so bad for women. By the way, this is stuck, so I cannot pull this around. It's like stuck in there. It's driving me crazy too, okay? You're not the only one. I feel so bad for women, and not just celebrities, but women that I know. They have one baby and their body does kind of snap back, and they're like, they think they've like hacked the system. They're like, oh my God, I'm the only person who just like loses baby weight super fast. And you're running around after a kid, you don't have time to eat. But it's the second baby. It's the second baby that gets you, and then the weight stays, and you're like, what? I mean, maybe you're just more tired. I don't know. I don't have kids. No, thank you, because I don't want to deal with these things. They seem very difficult. So I wouldn't fault Kylie for using Ozempic. I never fault anybody for using Ozempic. I mean, and when I say Ozempic, I mean any sort of GLP-1. Like, is Mounjaro? No, Mounjaro is like a tirzepatide. Is that right? I don't know. But these kinds of weight loss drugs, go nuts, knock yourself out. And we know Scott Disick is on them because eagle-eyed people saw in like the show, he had it in his fridge on the door. I was like, oh, Scott, they gotcha. And I gotta say, I was one of the first influencers ever to talk about this openly. And I didn't know I shouldn't. And that's just not really my vibe. When I started taking it in probably October 2021, no one else was, people were on it, but people weren't talking about it. And I was like, listen, if this works, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to have to explain why I'm losing weight, and people are going to want to know. And I'm not going to gaslight these girls and be like, it's water, just water with drops of lemon juice and cayenne pepper. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to lie about my body. I would just not speak on something, but I was assuming the difference was going to be so great, I would have to speak on it. So, and I didn't want to have to backtrack and be like, I've actually been lying or keeping a secret. So I'm like, why not just be honest? Why would you feel ashamed about doing something that's good and healthy for your body? I just don't understand that. And I think there is so much shame about it. So we're going to talk a lot about Ozempic, but yeah, I think Kylie definitely used it to lose weight. She looks, I think, fantastic. Here's why I also believe Kylie lost it. Because like I said, she's the Demi Lovato of body and face. I don't know why people say I've had my lips done. It's just liner. And then she's like, I had my lips done. My boobs are 4 sizes bigger. Must be that time of the month. She says to her audience that is almost entirely women who also menstruate. It's like, my tits don't, what? And she's like, I got my boobs done. She lies. She lies. And she comes out with it when there is nowhere left to run, or people are so girl, bye. People are just so clear on the truth that her having a confession about it doesn't even make a fucking dent. It's like, we know that. Thank you. What else would you like to tell us? Water is wet? Thank you. What an illuminating discovery. So I think the Ozempic thing, it's like, of course she's lying. She always lies about her body because she's not a secure person. She's not. And that's not her fault. It's Kris Jenner's fault. The psychology of Kylie Jenner is that during her formative years, her teen years, when she had these thin lips, right? And a boy kissed her. I was like, I didn't know if you'd be a good kisser because your lips are so thin. That'll fuck you up. And it did. It fucked her all the way up. And instead of Chris sitting her down or taking her to therapy or being like, you are more than your lips. These lips are these lips. You're more than any of your body parts, okay? Let's develop your self-esteem. Let's have you volunteer at a soup kitchen. Let's have you create something in this world that shows yourself and everyone around you, hey, I'm not just a shell, okay? I'm not just decorative around here. That's not what Kris Jenner did. She took her to the plastic surgeon and she got her lip injections. She delivered her out of that place. And as a parent, I can see why. If I could fix something that was hurting my child, why wouldn't I? But it's bottomless. And that is what we fail to see about these quick fixes, whether it's fillers or breast implants or even Ozempic. I've spoken a lot about the psychological changes that must walk hand in hand with this drug that I have done. And I have, honestly, not a lot of sympathy for people who go on this drug and they don't take it seriously. Fuck you. This is such an incredible opportunity to change your life. And I can count, I'm not kidding you, probably 10 people in my town where I live here. I live in Bozeman, Montana, who went on Ozempic because, huge reason, because they saw me and how thin I got. I've lost about 50 pounds. I'll tell my stuff in a second. We're still talking about Kylie. Are we though? I guess we pivoted. Sorry, Kai. I've seen so many people who tried this drug and they failed because they wouldn't stop drinking. They wouldn't go to therapy. They wouldn't change their lifestyle. They sure as fuck would not exercise. And they just would never dive deeper into the million-dollar question, which is, how did I get here? How did I even let this happen to myself? And they were basically in love with being fat. And no one's going to say that. But based on results, they wouldn't do the work to change their life to help this drug give you this leg up. They wouldn't do it. They wanted to stay where they are. It was comfortable there. The social aspect of what happens when suddenly, oh, I'm actually not drinking. Oh, come on, you're so boring. People ran that game on me. I'm the wrong fucking person to run almost any game on. I've got news for you. Because I don't cave to peer pressure. It's just not part of my makeup. And when I see people doing that, I'm like, what did you say? I suddenly see them for who they are. Their mask is off and they're an enemy. Instantaneously. So when people try to do that to me, but most people are very susceptible to it. And I'm not saying that you should not ever shame yourself for being susceptible to peer pressure. We are tribal creatures. The difference is I think of myself as a leader and not a member of the tribe. And that leader mentality, that eagle mentality means that I'm not bowing to fucking pigeons when they want me to do something that's not healthy for me. But a lot of people out there would. And like I said, I don't have a lot of respect when I have to see oh, my friends are actually pigeons because they're trying to do something healthy for themselves. And the other pigeons at the flock are, oh, don't do that. No, order another bottle of rosé. And they're like, all right. I'm just not like that. Okay, so my Ozempic update. Yeah, I've lost 50 pounds. It used to be 45. I am down a little bit. I started at I don't know, let's round it, let's say 170. I wasn't getting on the scale. I was 100% not getting on the scale at the time. This is what I looked like. And I remember I took this picture because I thought I felt thin that day. And I use these terms fat, thin. These are personal. These are for me. I'm not going to look at someone who's that weight and be like, okay, Kool-Aid. This is about what works for you. And what makes you feel good? That did not make me feel good. This makes me feel good. And the weight I'm at right now, so I'm 125, 126. Some people would be like, that's too heavy for me. I always say my Asian friends would be like, no, thank you. But some people would be like, that's too thin for me. Great, whatever floats your boat, as long as you're actually healthy. And, now the way my body is and the way my body is performing physically, it's night and day. I was never all that sporty. When I was that weight, I was not a sporty person because my body was not a performance machine. I couldn't trust myself to run around a tennis court and stop on a dime. I'd throw my back out, I'd tweak my arm, I'd hurt my knees or whatever. It's because I was fat. That was more weight than my frame should have been carrying. Now, for the first time in my life, I'm the sporty chick. So when I was on Ozempic, I was not working out a ton. I was doing Pilates. I was doing a lot of Pilates, but I wasn't doing super active things because I wasn't eating enough. I just was not eating enough to sustain that. Okay, so while we're talking about this, let me tell you about some things that I have incorporated into my diet and my lifestyle. Hi. Okay, I'm sorry I'm butting into this video in such a weird way. So I've realized some things, okay? And I want to kind of give you guys some tips that I've learned being like now pretty far down the road. And I'm still like on it. I'm on a really low dose because I have really bad blood sugar. I'm hypoglycemic. So I need the Ozempic to kind of regulate my blood sugar. And this is why a lot of people can feel not great on it. So when people say they feel nauseous and it's because they're having a glycemic crash. Their blood sugar is crashing, and that's because they're not eating enough protein. So I would feel like that. I would be on like a 10, like terrible crashes. I would pass out all the time. So Ozempic would take me to like a 5, but it takes most people up to a 5, right? So I was like thriving, so much less bad feelings, but they feel worse. It's because people don't eat enough protein. Nuts do not count. Do not eat a handful of nuts and think it is going to do anything for you. They're actually hard on your stomach. Like, sorry if like big almond is gonna come after me. You need protein, okay? And this is tough because you probably don't feel like eating a ton. And like, I just didn't eat a lot. I was eating like 600 calories, 800 calories at like the heyday of my GLP-1 journey. And I lost so much muscle tone. I really did. I lost weight, but I also lost muscle tone. And like, I knew it was going to happen. And the plan was to work really hard lifting to build it back. And I did. Please learn from my mistake. Okay. Please learn from my mistake. Now there are like so many products and supplements and things that are specifically designed to support GLP-1 people. Like if you are taking this, okay. I was actually walking by a GNC in my hometown and they had a big poster like, whole product range for people on GLP-1s. I'm like, what? Like, where have you been all my life? Because I just feel like there's so much shame around it. Like you're not, it's like, oh, I'm doing it. Like, be proud, girl. You're taking control of your health. Be proud. I love this for you. I feel amazing. That's why I was never shy about talking about it. Like, I am like my best self. Why would I ever feel ashamed about that? Because I had a little medical help. Sounds like a you problem. If you don't like it, I'm thriving. So here's some things that I've been taking, okay? And you might like too. This, it's called the Gut Healthy GLP-1 Booster. It's a prebiotic. You add it into your water and it's going to help your tummy. I personally never had like tummy issues or digestive issues when I was on it, but I know a lot of people do. Add this to your water, okay? This is huge. This is gonna be huge. It's fiber, it mixes into anything, even food. And it benefits the gut and beyond. You guys know how I am about probiotics. Evangelist. Let me tell you the thing that has made the biggest difference. I never thought I was this person. I am the protein. I am the protein shake person. I am the protein shake. This one is Isopure. It's protein powder. It's chocolate. I mix it into my coffee. I'm actually drinking it right now. I have it every single day. I have like a protein latte and it gives me, let's see, it's 25 grams of protein in one scoop. That would be a lot of protein to eat. And so I can actually get my daily protein in with protein shakes, which is like the whole point. I never knew that. I thought that was for like bodybuilders, you know? No, it's not. And now that I have worked so hard to build my muscle tone back, girl, I'm not letting it go for anything. I'm a muscle tone hoarder. Like those gains are hard. And so if you are just starting or if you're in the midway, don't lose any more muscle tone. And the key is protein. So you can have this, you're not gonna put on weight. It's going to keep your mentation going. Like, cause I get brain fog cause like my brain is eating itself cause I'm not eating enough. And I really like how I feel right now. I like how I look and I'm really enjoying sports, which is, I'm pretty sure we were talking about in the Spoiled Girl summer video. It's called Super Water. I was like, whatever, I know what water is. I thought it was just like, oh, like electrolytes. No, it actually has stuff that promotes lean muscle mass. The big question also is, am I ever gonna go off Ozempic? Yes. Like, I feel like I'm just weaning. It's like the tiniest dose. I take 0.25 every 2 weeks. So it's like a baby dose. But you know, honestly, if it makes me feel good and if yours makes you feel good, I wouldn't rush it. Do what works for your body. And I really don't want anyone to feel shame about being on these drugs. You know, I am a body autonomy absolutist. I want you to do what works for you. Okay? And I want you to also be in the headspace of really being at the point where you're ready to change your life. I mean, real deal, right? Because I think a lot of people don't want to go on them because they're afraid that it's not going to work. It's going to work as much as you work it. It's not, the drug will not fail you. You will fail you. And I think people know that, which is why they don't want to do it, because they don't trust themselves. I get that. I really get that. But like, prove to yourself that you're not going to let yourself down. Let this be the last day that you fail yourself. Let this be the first day that you show up for yourself. I stopped drinking when I was on it. I gave up like cheese and sugar and all these other things. And I really used it as a great reset for my body. I mean, before that, I would never take a protein powder. I just never would have thought to do that. Like, oh, I don't know what it is. I was just not clued in to nutrition and what my body needed. And it's forced me to do that. So look, it's going to work as much as you are ready for it to work. And you're ready, right? You don't need to feel bad anymore. And you certainly don't need to feel ashamed about not wanting to feel bad anymore. Don't listen to anyone who is trying to talk you out of being your best self. And listen, either that's with a GLP-1 or that is with going to law school or moving out of your small town or breaking up with this guy everyone says you should like. This is your life. This is your life, okay? You don't owe an explanation to anyone, not to anyone. I am so glad I was kind of at the forefront of this because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I didn't have any of that like shame talk around these conversations. I was like, I want to feel good and we're doing this. So, okay, if you have questions about it, drop it in the comment section. Let's get back to the video. We'll go back to the video. Mwah! So here are my workouts. I play tennis 4 or 5 times a week. I'm really into it. And again, like my body is performing now. I feel like my body's age is like 20 years old. I feel better than I did when I was 20 because I'm happy with my body. And I do Pilates about 2 times a week and I lift 1 day a week. I pivoted away from heavy weightlifting. It was just too hard on my joints. And I was also just really bored. I was bored to tears. And I've got the muscle mass. I want to take off the layer of fat. What I have noticed is that rest is now a key component that I'm trying to incorporate. I'm a little stress ball, so that's not always easy, but I do think it is absolutely crucial to move the needle. If you're having trouble getting off like the last few pounds, especially around your tummy, check your diet and check your rest. If you're not resting, you're inflamed and you're producing cortisol, and a lot of times that's stored in your tummy. Okay, so let's get into my tips and tricks for Ozempic. A lot of people have the concern, and I've talked about this in previous videos. Well, I've heard about people who they go off it and they gain the weight back. Do you know why? Because they're eating. Well, yeah, I know that because of the drug. No, because of them. And that attitude that something else out there is responsible for what you pick up and put in your own mouth as an adult. That's why you're fat. Because you are not looking at the reality of your behavior. And more importantly, the psychology of what is fueling it. How the fuck are you going to blame a drug you're not even taking for your weight gain? Oh, I've got really swollen ankles. It's for the Alzheimer medicine that I don't take. It's because of that. Oh, why I keep scratching? It's the meth that I've never taken. But it's that. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? It's a bananas thing to say. But if you're on the drug, you are going to lose 15 to 20 pounds easy. You will. And guess the fuck what? It's going to fall right on. It's going to fall right on. If you don't use that time to cultivate a new set of habits, I've told you guys a million times, I cut out dairy, sugar, and alcohol. I've incorporated them a little bit back into my life, but like fractions of what I used to. If I go out, I'll have like a drink on a wild night too. But that's it. It's just like, no thanks. I don't like it anymore. And I've learned to have fun sober. I have a whole video on how to have fun sober. Search that and my name, you'll find it. But yeah, your weight's going to come back on if you don't change your habits. Use this as a time to cultivate a foundation of change. You are never going to get a leg up like this again. You never are. Don't waste it. So let's go to some of your questions. I've heard that you get really nauseous on Ozempic, and I'm afraid of that. Okay. You know when you also will get nauseous? When you're on chemo? Because if you don't get your weight in control, if you don't get your cortisol that comes from being overweight under control, you will create a whole bunch of diseases. Cancer could very well be one of them. It's funny to me that these people, I see this with my friends. Like I have this one friend here and she is quite fat. She looks 8 months pregnant. Ozempic could work wonders on her body. She's not willing to put in the effort. She's like, well, I don't want to feel nauseous. And I just go off. I'm like, the people who are saying that are putting garbage in their body. And this drug enables you to like clock the effects of Taco Bell in a way that your body has just gotten used to. It's like a truth serum for what terrible food is doing to us. Why is that a bad thing? If you eat healthy food, your body will feel fine. Your body will be like, thank you. It's ready to absorb healthy and positive changes. And I want to be like, sweetheart, you feed your body. She literally feeds at Taco Bell at least 4 times a week. And it's like, but suddenly, your Japanese racing machine of a body, I can't handle feeling nauseous. You feel like shit all the time. Look at you. You're hungover 5 days a week because you drink a bottle of wine every night. You drink Slurpees, like your joints hurt, you sweat, you have like breakouts. Like, don't tell me, my body is just so fine-tuned and I'm used to being like top peak performance. It would be such a departure to feel a little nauseous. Get the fuck out of here. You won't feel nauseous if you're eating right. And that means protein. Nuts are not protein. Nuts do not count. Cheese does not count. You need meat or tofu or protein powder or whatever. I ate some nuts. What are you, a fucking nutritionist all of a sudden? Don't listen. Stop. That's actually going to hurt your stomach more. Okay? Get the nuts out of there. You want my tips? I'm telling you. Okay? The drug is not the thing that's making you ultra queasy. The things you're putting in your body in concert with the drug is what's making you queasy. Just try it. How to get Ozempic when you're a bit chunky but not overweight. Go to a med spa. Like med spas, I don't know, like in California and Texas and Arizona, I'm surprised they're not handing them out at lemonade stands. Like you can find any doctor to compound it. It's not the exact same chemical formula as Ozempic. And again, when I say Ozempic, I mean the GLP-1s, tirzepatide, which is like, Mounjaro, whatever, anything like that. They are very readily available. Are they cheap? No. Again, you know what's not cheap? Chemo. A knee replacement is also not cheap. Getting electrolysis for all the weird hair you're growing because your endocrine system is whacked out because you're 200 pounds overweight. Girl, I'm just shooting you straight, okay? Do not act like there is no cost to staying fat. The cost is incalculable. It's priceless in the worst way. And even if it was the exact same dollar amount, wouldn't you rather look good and feel good? Wouldn't you rather know like, hey, I'm fighting off female cancers, joint replacement, high blood pressure, diabetes, brain things, I bet. I don't know. I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Even if it's the exact same dollar expenditure, you have a cost being fat. Make no mistake. A lot of people on here asking, is it worth it? I'm thinking about getting on it. Is getting on Ozempic worth it? How much work do you want to put in? My emotional change in the last 3 years is also incalculable because, and this is the drum I keep beating, like this drug forced me to look at why do I eat like this? Because when you don't have like an appetite in the way that you used to, and yet you still tell yourself, I should eat something. I should. And then you have to check yourself and be like, why am I saying this? Why am I compulsively driven to eat? I'm not even hungry. And maybe before this drug, I was hungry, but I wasn't hungry enough to eat everything that I was eating. I was overeating, obviously. I was fat. Why was I doing that when all I wanted was to be thin? It was like I would go out and I would look at people. You know, it's like you're at a party and the monologue in my head is, do they think I'm thin? Do they think I'm thin? I hope he thinks I'm thin. Do I look thin? Do I look thin? Do I look thin in this? And I didn't realize how pervasive that was until I was no longer saying it, because it's like, I am thin. Also, this drug attacks the part of your brain that is OCD. And my doctor, an endocrinologist, would put her OCD patients on it, even if they had no weight to lose. And it would be like, freedom. And that for me, I've said this before, was just worth its weight in gold. Even if I'd never lost a pound, to stop obsessing about it. I'm like, is this how men feel? They're not thinking about their body 24/7. What the actual fuck? So yeah, if you want to do that work and ask yourself, why am I driven to keep myself always a little unhappy? What's driving this? Why is this my self-worth? Why do I want to punish myself? In what other categories am I doing this? Am I always keeping myself a little broke? A little fucking with a fuckboy? A little heartbroken? A little underperforming? Where am I just like keeping myself sick? And do you have the guts to really look at that and dig into it? I'm going to pat myself on the back. I did. And my life has completely changed. I've done videos like I'm in my soft girl era. I mean, look, I'm in my soft girl era. I'm like so much more embracing my light feminine energy. I move through the world in a different way. I have changed a lot, and I can trace it back to Ozempic. I can. I'm not like an Ozempic, like I'm not getting paid for any of this. I wish. I always say that. I wish, but I'm not. But I can trace it back to that. Ooh, here's a good one. How do you deal with comments from friends and family about Ozempic? That is one of my biggest deterrents. So my best friend, she lost a lot of weight on it as well, about the same that I did. And I gotta say, we are like the two biggest success stories that I have seen. Like, because we have really tackled the mindset. We both do a lot of mindset work. Like I told you, Laura St. John is like key to me. She really likes Dr. Joe Dispenza. And she has a real problem with people being like, you're so thin. Like that really like hurts her and gets to her. And she takes that criticism as criticism. I, a monster, take it as a compliment. My friend, who I told you looks 8 months pregnant, won't go on Ozempic, told me that I looked like a cancer patient last year because I was too thin. And I was like, really? Not because that was necessarily how I wanted to look. Like, that's an obvious insult. She meant it as an insult. Well, she meant it as a compliment now that I look more healthy. I'm more muscular, you know, and so I look more shapely. I look healthier. I do. I look healthier. You always look healthier with muscle tone. I took it as a backhanded compliment. I took it as a compliment because she showed her ass and how jealous she was. Because when you're fat, what are you aching for someone to tell you? You look too thin. Can you say that again? Like, you would die to hear that. You would die to hear that. I would. Like, I'm just being real. I'm a girl. Like, let's not front. And so when she said that, like, you were too thin, I'm like, I win. All I hear is my power. All I hear is my power. When people trash me for being Ozempic, all I hear is the hater. All I hear is that they're jealous. All I hear is that they don't have the guts to do this, or they don't have the access, or whatever. And all I hear is that I'm a motherfucking eagle in a school of pigeons. Caw! Ah! So I love it. I love a backlash. I love comments. Keep talking. They don't boo the good ones. They only hate the great ones. I love it. So that's how you reframe it. Think about the people in your life who would deter you from doing what is healthy and best for your body. This is because those people don't like contrast. A pigeon doesn't want to be around an eagle. An eagle is terrifying. Technically, they're the same species, but brother, they're a world apart. And they don't want that. They don't want the contrast. They don't want to see what's capable. They don't want to see what's possible. I got dropped recently. I'm going to have some of my power water. Super water. I got dropped recently, kind of by that group of friends, in favor of this girl. If you're in the Shallon entourage, you know exactly who I'm talking about, who is fat. She's an alcoholic. She smokes cigarettes. Oh, like what? She's a hateful, awful person. But let me just run through that again. On the upside, she's fat. She's an alcoholic. She smokes cigarettes. She's a hateful, awful person. Oh, I'm none of those things. And so you hang out with her, you feel good about yourself after. You're like, I'm making great choices. You hang out with me? I don't know. You might be like, damn, Shallon looks good. She's playing tennis. How much? She's not even really on the drug and she's kept this weight off. Fuck. She's unbothered by something. She doesn't feel the pressure. Okay. And she's sober. All right. It's contrast in the wrong direction. And I look at those people, and believe me, this was painful. Again, if you're in the Shallon entourage, you've watched me go through this of having to really see who these people are at their core and that they're not happy for me. It's just too disruptive to their status quo. And that's painful. But you know what? Eagles don't run in packs. They have mates. The pigeons, I don't know. Has anyone even bothered to ask? Who cares? Who fucking cares? But it's tough. It's tough to strike out on your own. It is tough to do a good thing. And you think everyone's going to be happy for me. And when they're not, you're like, what? And people, you're right. You probably are deterred by the potential comments and everything, because who wants to think that my loved ones, my best friends, don't really have my best interest at heart? Girl, I get it. I get it. And you know, honestly, maybe if my true besties and my family had been like, absolutely not, and kept with that and been haters and been really jealous, I don't know. I don't know how that would have affected me. But I do know this. My actual best friends would honestly never say that. These people I'm talking about that kind of like push me out of the group, they're not my best friends. I don't look up to them. My soul sisters, which like is what you guys are, like the women who are just like, yeah, like we all get it. We're all eagles. I only have other eagles as my besties. My mom is an eagle. My best friend's an eagle. Like, we're eagles. I knew they were going to be happy for me, because as I started feeling better and feeling more myself and less crazy about my weight, how would they not see that as a good thing? I'm blessed to have those people in my life. And listen, if you want people in your life who are supportive, you can join the Shallon entourage. Like, that's where we cluster. Links down below. It's our little internet community. It's amazing. There's a lot of girls on Ozempic and Mounjaro and stuff like that. And we talk about it a lot. So if you need some support, and people who are just like literally just in your corner, no questions asked. You want to do that thing? Amazing. You're going to do it. Come join us. So it's really hard to go against the grain. I'm not going to lie. But again, it's harder to get chemo. I would say it's harder to get a hip replacement. That seems really unpleasant. So if I have to dim my shine and destroy myself to keep people happy, what is this life? That's what your life is going to be about? Girl, that almost brings tears to my eyes. That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. Let him hate. You can love him and still say, fuck your opinion. Fuck your opinion. I love you. Fuck your opinion. How do I respond to people who say I'm going to gain all the weight back? Pull up a chair, motherfuckers. Watch and see. I'm not afraid of that because I have my systems in place. And it's not just, oh, I have to eat this. My mindset is different. You could put 10 packs of Doritos in my house. You could fill my bathtub with Nutella, and I love Nutella. And I'm like, I'm good. I've tackled the demon that was driving me to ruin myself. And you know what? Food is a drug like any other. And I think it's tough for people who overeat and have that disorder because you have to eat. You don't have to do cocaine. You can live a life without cocaine or even alcohol. You can't live without food. So it was like constant decision making. But yeah, I mean, I've figured out why my self-esteem was so low that I felt compelled to always keep myself fat and a little bit miserable. I was hiding behind that. I didn't want to show who I really was. You know, I wanted to be accepted for myself, but I was behind this sort of like curtain of fat, you know? And now I'm like, this is me, take it or leave it. My confidence has gone up. My ruthlessness has gone up. I've cut out toxic people in my life, and losing weight was kind of the foundation of that. And like I've been saying, a lot of people do not want that kind of disruptor. They don't want that disruptor in their life. I think I was ready for it. And you really do have to be ready for it. And let me tell you, it's amazing. It is. The sadness of the people that you might have to cut out, it won't be that sad because you'll be like, you're not here for me. And I am so here for myself now. Losing you doesn't mean shit. If it means I get to keep me, who the fuck are you? You're not even my friend. You don't want good things for me. Someone asked, does the weight loss come from a lack of appetite? And like, so you're not eating, or from a blood sugar change? Honestly, both. For me, because I'm hypoglycemic, it created an insulin resistance. It's like my insulin was just super out of balance. So hypoglycemia, basically sugar is poison. Hypo means low. I have low blood sugar, and you would think that means I get to eat a bunch of sugar. It doesn't. It means sugar's poison. So when you eat sugar, your body surges insulin to like counteract it, right? My body sees any bit of sugar as like, rah! It's like Pearl Harbor. It's just like the biggest attack ever, and it gives too much insulin. And so the insulin level never really goes back down to where it should. It's always just still a little in a flood system. So the more sugar I'd eat, the higher and higher and higher, until the levels were just so high. And that means you store a lot of belly fat, you store fat, and so it's hard to lose weight. And so Ozempic kind of like cut that. It really helped reset that. So that was a big factor in losing weight. But also, yeah, your appetite really plummets. And like I said, you have to face this demon of being like, what do I do with the bandwidth that I used to reserve for planning what I'm going to eat, thinking about it obsessively, eating it, feeling really guilty, feeling disgusted about myself, and then wait, when am I going to eat again? Like this horrible cycle that would go on and on and on, over and over and over, 5 times a day. And when that is quiet, when that machine is turned off, you're like, what do I do with this empty space? Nature abhors a vacuum. And if you don't give your brain something positive to put in that space, it'll find something negative. And a lot of my friends did. What they found was like they would obsess about something else. They would start compulsively shopping or gambling. Like what I filled that space with was an obsessive this sounds bad, a self-interest, but like my mindset work. Like I don't really watch TV. I don't really even listen to music. I'm always listening to a mindset podcast, a positivity lesson, Positive Intelligence, Laura St. John, Joe Dispenza. Like I'm filling my brain with that healthy knowledge. I'm reading constantly, because if I don't give my brain something to chew on, it'll turn self-destructive, as evidenced by the fact that I was fat for so long. So you really do have to be ready to replace that with something healthy. And set yourself up for success. Like if you're going to go on Ozempic, sign up for these mindset courses. Sign up for Laura's course and be like, I'm going to give my brain something else to latch onto. It wants to latch onto this food obsession. Let's give it something else. It just wants to latch. You know, it's like a dog chewing up the furniture. If it's bored, it doesn't necessarily want to chew the furniture. It just wants something to do. So give it something better to do. It'll leave the furniture alone. Things you can't do after starting Ozempic. Run into your exes. Because they'll die. You can't do that. You know what you can't do? You can't hang out with losers. I'm sorry, but you can't hang out with losers. And I define losers as somebody who does not want to level up or be better. Someone who cannot tolerate positive contrast. A winner loves positive contrast. They want to be the dumbest person in the room. They want to be the poorest, the ugliest, the least successful, because they're always leveling up. They're always stretching up and growing up. Losers, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So, you're not going to be able to hang out with those people. And yeah, your social circle is going to get a lot smaller. A lot smaller. Your schedule is probably going to slow down. You're not going to be out at the bars every night. You're not like partying the way that you were. Your lifestyle might change, but you're going to feel better and you're going to feel more authentic. So yeah. Also, don't drink. Like a lot of people can drink on Ozempic. You're going to keep the weight on. You're going to get the most monstrous hangovers. You will projectile vomit. I'm not even kidding you. I realized when I first started taking it that I could not get drunk. And it's a very, 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 very small percentage of people who take it where that happens. But yeah, I couldn't get drunk. So I was like, well, fuck this. I'm not just going to pour alcohol down my body if all I'm getting is a hangover, never a buzz. Now I can because I'm basically off it, but I don't like it. It's just not that fun anymore. I feel like sweaty and weird. I'm on Snapchat being weird. It's not really for me. So that's going to be difficult. You might have to say goodbye to the lifestyle routine that you have previously employed, where it's like, I come home and it's wine o'clock, mom juice, okay? And you might just have to cope. Again, these are big disruptive changes that not everyone is ready for. I think that you are, though. I think that you are. Be brave. I'm so glad that I was, because my life has never been better. I think I look fantastic. I feel so good because I've learned to add things in that have been really, really helpful. And I've cleaned out the clutter of my mind. Honestly, if I have one regret, it's that I didn't do this sooner. I really can't imagine how my life would have turned out if I had had this when I was 23. I don't know. That's the only sort of like dark side but this is the dark side of any kind of positive change. It's like, fuck, why didn't I do this sooner? That's just part of life. You can't dwell there. Things happen on the schedule they're supposed to. It's like breaking up with a bad guy. Why didn't I do this sooner? Girl, you weren't done till you were done. All right? And if you tried earlier, it wouldn't have stuck. You would have gone back and forth. Maybe you did. At least you got there. At least you got there. Most people don't. So don't beat yourself up for like, I don't want to feel the regret I know is going to come with looking good and being thin. At least you get there. At least you get there. And that is a totally acceptable side effect for changing your life for the better in whatever category that might be. All right. We will be back next time. I'm going to do just a regular glow up video. I thought maybe I was going to do it in this one, but as usual, we got sidetracked talking our talk. So I will see you later, Shalligators. And come to Montana with me if you want a mindset level up. And come to Italy if you just want the biggest and best adventure of your life. Okay, I'll see you later, Shalligators. Mwah!